Man, that was a heck of a first game in that series. 19 lead changes, 17 ties, a record 12 blocks for Wemby, and the unexpected return of Anthony Edwards, who scored 18 off the bench. Minnesota took the opener by 2, and now we get set for Game 2 in San Antonio. That's where we find George Sodano. George, so I was looking at the injury report, and it looked like on the Minnesota side, Ayo Dosunmu would be available. He's missed the last couple. But Anthony Edwards was still listed as questionable. What's up?
Yeah, we don't know just yet about him, EJ. We're going to talk to Chris Finch here shortly and get the word, and once we get that, we'll pass it along to you. But this is a confident Wolves bunch because Edwards powered through that last game, and he called himself about 75%. But they are getting the reinforcements, as you mentioned, with Dosunmu, and they're not afraid of going in there and attacking Wemby. You know, TJ Shannon said it after the game, in the postgame. He's like, look, you can't block them all. And speaking of Wembanyama, you know, he kind of looked back at the game and felt like there were certain things he could have done differently, certainly offensively specifically. He felt like he wasted a lot of energy, so I would venture to guess he'll be in the paint a little more. He also talked about just the end of the game going in a blip, right? And he played the most minutes he's ever played in a game at nearly 40 minutes, and he played, I want to say, the last 16 minutes or so. He says he wants to be a little more focused and present in those particular moments and that he can help his team. And look, they're up against it in this situation because the stats are not in their favor. A team that loses the first 2 at home, it's happened 38 times. They've only gone on to win the series 5 times, EJ.
George, thank you very much. We appreciate that. As we look ahead to this game, the fight for victory presented by Modelo, here was the fourth quarter for the Timberwolves in Game 1. They scored 35. Edwards had 11 points in the fourth quarter, again coming off the bench in that game. And again, we'll see what his status is tonight for Game 2. Wemby was otherworldly on the defensive end. George alluded to the fact that he said he thought he spent too much energy on things on defense and on things that really didn't help the team. How did you see his opener?
I thought he was otherworldly in the first half defensively. I thought in the second half he looked tired. You got those guys, they're putting the body on him every play. They're putting the body on him offensively. They're attacking him defensively. And although he got the block shots to the point of Terrence Shannon Jr., they're going to keep going at him. And they got athletic guys with Terrence Shannon, Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, Julius Randle. All those guys are getting downhill at him. So I think it's going to be interesting where they've managed Wemby's minutes all year long. They're not going to be able to do that in the playoffs, and I can see him wearing down like he did in Game 1.
Yeah, 3 guys with double-digit blocks in a playoff game. Akeem and Andrew Bynum, in addition to Victor.
Is that the game he dunked on shot?
Victor Wembanyama.
I think that is.
I think it is. Before we hear from you two guys on this, 12 blocks, unless you're talking to Chris Finch.
When we looked at them, at least 4 of them were goaltending, maybe even a 5th. To me, it's a little alarming that none of them were called. So let's just say there were 4. That's 8 points. You know, the value of 8 points in an NBA game is massive.
How many of those do you think were goaltends?
You fouled me. You fouled me on the first one. But I mean, if you look at them, yeah, probably 3 or 4. Yeah. I wish I had that type of. I wish I had that type of treatment too.
On the offensive side,
Stop it.
Wemby did not have a big night. He was, 5 for 17. He missed all the threes he took, 0 for 8. In fact, he and De'Aaron Fox both failed to hit a three-pointer.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because to me, well, first of all, women shouldn't be taking 8 threes. That's too many threes for a 7'5" guy. You need to go down in the post where they have to double him and use his height to his advantage. But to me, it's De'Aaron Fox. He's the guy who's got to step up. You go back and look at that Portland series. Who was the guy who played great? We all make a big deal out of Wemby because he played fantastic. We love Castle. But if you actually look at the game, Fox was fantastic in those games, especially the games that Wemby, the one game he didn't play, or 2 games he didn't play basically, or got hurt. But De'Aaron Fox to me is the guy. I thought the Spurs just came out flat. They hadn't played a competitive game in a while. I thought the same thing about Oklahoma City last night. I thought they came out flat. But I think they're going to play better because, to me, Minnesota didn't play great, and the Spurs played worse. You know, Anthony admitted, he said, I didn't play that good of a game. So, to me, this is one of the series I'm looking forward to watching tonight. But the one thing that bothers me about the Spurs, why didn't they play? Why would you go from playing him X amount of minutes to 40? And because Dre said earlier, there's a lot more mental strain on you in the playoffs. There's a lot more physicality going on. They should have been ramping his minutes up. To go from playing him 30 minutes to 40 minutes, because like I say, let me give Minnesota some credit. Did somebody block my damn shot 12 times? I'm not sure. I'm going to keep going in there. I give them, Coach Finch, I don't know, I have no idea why he's talking about the goaltending. But give Minnesota, you're right, Ernie, that team is tough. They're confident. But, man, they don't care. You're going to have to keep blocking it, and I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah, Jaden McDaniel says you just got to act like he's not there. And you know, Terrence Shannon says, look, I'm not going to stop going downhill.
Well,
you know?
If you keep going, he'll get 20 blocks in a game.
He's going to have to.
He could. I mean, it's not that wouldn't be a stretch, honestly, you know, for him because of his size and length. However, you know, the other thing that I felt that the Spurs have a tough time with is matching up with Julius Randle. And he is typically, you know, when he's playing, he plays like a 5. And then when Naz Reid comes into the game and Gobert goes out, he plays like, but now it's like, who guards him? Is it Wemby? Because he's doing things off the dribble. He plays like a point forward, but then at times he's going to shoot the 3. Then at times he's going to drive. So I thought the uncertainty of who was going to guard him, because the one thing about Wemby while he's shooting the 3s is because when you switch on Wemby on most teams, you don't have size switching. Yeah. So with them, they have Naz Reid, they have Gobert, they have Randall, and they have McDaniel.
Goes all too little, than Gobert.
I mean, not all too little, but they're physically gifted enough to guard him. So, not disrespectful, if Draymond's not guarding Wembanyama and they switch off and they have one of your guards guarding him, they don't have this girth or the length. Yep, so where they have one or the other that can kind of slow him down and kept them perimeter too much.
He didn't get lobs. You know, he's gotten 10 points a game off lobs. Because they were just able to switch, he wasn't able to roll. He didn't get lobs. And another thing I thought they did, which was incredible, everyone always say space to the 3 to pull Wemby away from the rim. And he doesn't pull away from the rim. They put a guy in the dunker spot every play. And no matter what action was going on around it, they ducked him in. So in the second half, he wasn't able to get those blocks because he was tired, because they was ducking him in, putting the body on him every play.
We've talked about it before. Minnesota, in their 13 appearances in the playoffs, it's either been a first-round knockout or go to the Western Conference Finals. They took a step in that direction again this time, winning the opener in San Antonio.
Exactly.
I do not remember Tim.
Tim is always he comes in a lot. I know Tim.
Hey, Rodney Dangerfield. What's that school movie? One of the best ever. Summer School. Back to School. One of the great movies of all time, Rodney.